I know the feeling. So, part of our
Welcome, everyone, to First Unitarian Universalist Church. We're a congregation that finds truth and inspiration from many spiritual paths. And in community, we help each other practice justice, inclusion, and love. Your faith, your doubts, and your identity are welcome here. Find ways to get involved in your bulletin and to stay up to date for all that is happening. Sign up for our weekly e-news in the office, or through the office. Children are welcome in the sanctuary at any time, and there is also nursery care activities for young children following the story. And please join us after the service for refreshments and conversation in the Commons. For the month of November, we are collecting for the Village Agricultural Cooperative, a local nonprofit providing sustainably grown food for folks with limited resources, working at the intersection of environmental stewardship and economic justice. Today, to share more about this wonderful organization is the Executive Director, Amanda.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for having me here today, and thank you for making us your monthly justice partner. We are so very grateful for your support. The Village was founded in 2019 based on a lot of the county assessments. Mayo's assessment for the needs for food security is really the biggest motivator behind our mission. And our organization is over 95% people of color, with majority of those folks coming from recent immigrant communities. So Rochester is about 11% foreign-born and about 20% people of color. And we know that our recent immigrant communities are more likely to live in apartment homes or rental homes where it's much harder for them to grow their own food. And we've also learned that a lot of these folks coming from specifically Cambodia, Kenya, and Mexico, a lot of them have really amazing agricultural skills. So they have the ability to increase the food security for their own families. So we now have over 200 families farming with us, and at 6 locations, 5 within Rochester and 1 between here and Byron. And several of our farmers are working on someday owning their own land. So we're doing a lot of education and resource connection to local programs to help them build their knowledge, build their resources so that they can someday qualify for low interest loans. And hopefully we will increase those numbers. Farmers in Minnesota are 99% white. So that doesn't do very well for our culturally specific groups that wish to source foods that are specific to their homelands. So we're hoping to increase farmers of color in Minnesota and food security for our people of color here in Rochester. So thank you so much for having us as your monthly justice partner.
Thanks, Amanda. And a special announcement, join us this Wednesday for a special Building Our Future forum with guests from Knudsen Construction. This will be an important conversation about the realities and costs of construction, both here and at other possible locations. Supper is at 5:30, a casual chat with the building team at 6:30, and then the guest forum at 7. We hope you can join us. And on December 6th, the MUUSJA will hold its annual convening meeting where Paula Cole-Jones, a UU diversity and inclusion consultant who originated the proposed 8th principle centering on active anti-racism and is involved with updating the UUA bylaws as a member of the Article 2 Commission. There was a lot in there, sorry. Will be the keynote speaker, and there will be a Zoom link in our e-news, and if you want to read everything I just said, that will also be in the e-news as well. And also in the e-news, we will have information about all the ways that we can get together during this holiday season, including special gatherings such as the cookie exchange, a blue holiday service, and a solstice service, along with many ways to give. We hope that you can join us. So let us enter into worship with these words from Reverend Eliza Tupper Wilkes, minister of this church in the 1870s. May our faith in humanity and our message of hope and good cheer light the way. Now, as we greet each other, we will have music bring us back together after we're done with that. So, hello, everyone.
Our chalice lighting this morning comes from Kodo Sawaki, known as Homeless Kodo. Heaven and earth make offerings. Air, water, plants, animals, and human beings make offerings. All things make offerings to each other. It's only within this circle of offering that we can live. Whether we appreciate it or not, it's true. Without demanding, "Give it to me," we make and receive offerings. The world in which we give and receive is a serene and a beautiful world. It differs from the world of scrambling for things. It is vast and boundless.
So I know we don't have a lot of young people out there, but if any would like to come up, I will do this story out front. Otherwise, all right. This is good. This is all good. Okay, I think we got this. All right, this is a little story which I put together and actually did it here a number of years ago. But I revamped it, done some nice things, and it's second edition, probably a little better. And it's about Lawrence of Thanksgiving. Lawrence was not from Arabia, as some of his friends might like to think of him. He lived in a small town where a stream wound its way through a narrow valley. It had wooded hillsides and lots of trails for adventurous youth, and Lawrence was an adventurous youth. He was headed there now because he was tired of his mom reminding him that Thanksgiving was coming soon, and wouldn't it be nice to celebrate dinner with all their relatives? Wasn't he excited? Well, no, he was not. He did not understand why adults were so excited just hanging around, waiting for dinner, then sitting at a table, waiting for food, then wading through a lot of conversation he was not interested in, and finally the worst, waiting to actually leave the table. Well, today was his day, and today the woods were cool and crisp and brown, the way he most liked it. He also liked being on the move on a trail and wondering what might be around the next bend. When he reached the trailhead, his friends were waiting for him, and they had backpacks, hiking sticks, and supplies for a good day's trek. They exchanged greetings and wasted no time getting on the trail with Lawrence in the lead. It wasn't long before they began to grow hungry. Barton suggested they hike a bit further, maybe even climbing as high as South Point, a place he knew where they could sit on some rocks and look out over the valley. When they arrived, the sun was high, the scene was magnificent, and the temperature was perfect. The rocks provided protection from the wind, and the earth had that deep scent of fall. They relaxed a bit and began emptying their backpacks of food and drink. They looked at what everyone had brought to the hillside luncheon, and after a brief bartering session, everyone was pleased with what they had to share. As they ate, a feeling of togetherness came over them, as if there was something special in this day, and they began to talk. Barton spoke first. You know, he said, I think this is one of my favorite places. Nokomis spoke next. My grandmother once told me that Native Americans would consider a place where you could look out far over the land as sacred places, or maybe as others call it, holy places. That would make this place special. Zola said that she often thinks about the special places in her life, and if she thought about it, this would be at the top of her list. I think, said Lawrence, that it is more than the place. It's all of us, good friends, being together and sharing an adventure. We should do this again, maybe every year. Make it a special event. Nokomis nodded and said that she would love to, and the next time she would fix something to eat. Well, thank you. From foods grown locally in celebration of the earth. Maybe we could call it something special, give it a name. Valley View Hike or Hike a Bunch Lunch. It didn't take much for Zola's imagination to take over. Then Barton declared, if we did it this time of year, it could almost be like having our very own Thanksgiving celebration. Lawrence winced a little at the mention of Thanksgiving, but then said, yeah, well, in a way, maybe just a little, but I like the idea of it being all our own. After a while, they packed their belongings and started on the trail back. And on his way, Lawrence thought more about what everyone said. He thought about what it meant to share a day like today with friends, being outdoors, talking to each other, and sharing each other's food. I guess that is a little like Thanksgiving, he thought. Lawrence felt he was beginning to get an idea why adults like the Thanksgiving dinner so much. Maybe, he thought, he could understand why his mom was so excited about the family gathering for Thanksgiving. Good story?
As I sat down to write my reflection for today's service, I was feeling a little blank. I knew I had to talk about gratitude, because that's the theme of the service. But I also knew if I focused on just that it would seem a little fake. You see, over the last several months, life sure has thrown me and my family some curveballs, and we are just now getting over the hump of those many situations. And I felt that bringing only positive thoughts was just not authentic. This made me think of the term toxic positivity. You know, the choose happiness, it could be worse, and good vibes only sentiment. The tendency to believe that negative thoughts about anything should be avoided. This can result in denial, minimization, and invalidation of authentic human experiences. And then this made me think, well, there has to be toxic gratitude. And the Google machine told me that that's not a thing, but it did help clarify that while toxic positivity can be detrimental to us and others, gratitude, on the other hand, helps us realize the good, the bad, and everything in between of a situation. Gratitude is about feeling all of the emotions. For instance, when my dad was sick last month and in the ICU, it was very scary, stressful, and upended our lives. Currently, he's doing much better, and I am grateful for that, but not in the toxically positive way. But I am grateful for the doctors that saved his life, for the support of friends and family, for seeing how family can pull together at a time of crisis, even family that really isn't very close, and also for seeing which family members are good and not so good with emergencies, and for the time my dad and I had together. All of those great things do not negate the fears and the tears that were with us during those weeks, but rather it keeps it all together in one full, complete package.
I grew up in a paper mill town in central Wisconsin. And from very, very early on, I wanted to get out. The adults in my world looked to be very unhappy. There's a lot of small ambitions, people tending to pick at each other and enjoy each other's misery. Men becoming obsessed with sports teams and hunting and fishing, not my thing. There was lots of drinking. Each of these looked to me like a dream from which you could not escape. And then in high school, I took an interest in Eastern religion, which looked to me like a way of escaping into the world. The promise is that you might wake up from the dream of an individual separate existence to the wide open reality of being connected, to a life where I'm not one broken piece of something, but I'm part of one big piece. It's really very simple. But in the 80s, in the English-speaking world, what we could get of Zen meditation, of Zen, were books about philosophy and art. And it didn't occur to me for a long time that there was something to do with all this, that the entry into waking up to freedom was not explanations about freedom, but practicing it. So it was not until the 90s that I actually found a place to sit with people on a cushion. But once I found it, I've been sitting ever since. I've studied with many Zen teachers, and when I visit other cities, I can visit other places where they practice meditation. We have a Zen group here at UU. We sit every Tuesday night. Actually, it's the plainest, most basic thing in the world. You could say that it's nothing at all. It's not doing anything, not going anywhere, not trying to be different than you already are. That's why it's so important, because this right here now is exactly who you are. And you're not alone. You're not separate. This is just a fact. When you're born, you're completely helpless. You depend on others for care and feeding and cleaning from the very beginning. When you grow up, you live in a world that completely supports you. Somebody grows your food, even if you cook it. Somebody else grows it. People make your car, they make your house. You might earn money to buy those things, but what is money or an economy but a round of exchange where people do things for each other, make things? You're thoroughly embedded in this world that you did not make. You walk on ground that was here before you and will be here after you. You speak a language that you didn't invent. You wear clothes that other people sewed. We call it gratitude when we appreciate all that. But if you think about it, it's really very profound. The implications of your complete embeddedness in this world. It's like the whole universe is your body. We can call it gratitude, but in Buddhism, we call it living in vow. To know that you're not separate, to truly appreciate this embeddedness, is to align yourself, align your life with the direction of reducing suffering, because any suffering is your suffering. To be fully awake to your life is to appreciate that everything is essential to you and that you are essential to everything. Everyone crying is you crying. Everyone falling in love is you falling in love. So I'd like to try it with you. We call it Zazen. We'll do it briefly. I'll set it up, explain just a little bit, and then we'll just do it and we'll stop. Just a couple minutes. It's not about making anything new. We're just setting aside obstacles and distractions. So as you sit here, find the weight of your body in the chair and on the floor. Feel how you naturally reach upward with your body. That uprightness is what you are. It's taking responsibility. It's doing what you feel is right. Taking care of what needs to be taken care of. So find your simple uprightness. Calm, top of your head reaching up. Keep your eyes open, but just let your gaze soften. We're not going anywhere else. We're going to be here with each other. Settle the attention on your breath. Just notice how it comes in, it goes out, all by itself. Feel how it rattles in your nose, your throat, how it opens your belly. Notice your thoughts, how they barge in. That's what they do. They're always going to do that. But just don't engage with them. They're like little sparkles of light. Sometimes very colorful and interesting. Sometimes they're kind of dumb. It's all right. But when they come, just come back to your breath. And that's all it is. Being yourself. Everything is right here. When we meditate, we usually say the 4 vows. It's a way of celebrating that embeddedness, what we call vow. We say, beings are numberless. I vow to free them. Desires are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to master them. And the Buddha way, that is, all-togetherness, is unsurpassable, and I vow to realize it.
Before I do the reading, I want to just share a quick note. As Melissa isn't here, recovering from the revelry of her 50th birthday, so we're not here to do an embracing. She's not here to do an embracing meditation. But we did want to share that our beloved friend George Thompson had a medical event emergency this morning, just a little bit before the service. So. Just keep him in his family in your thoughts as we go through these next few days. That could be a scary time for them. So the reading today is In Praise of the Earth by John O'Donohue. Let us bless the imagination of the earth that knew early the patience to harness the mind of time, waited for the seas to warm, ready to welcome the emergence of things dreaming of voyaging among the stillness of the land. Let us thank the earth that offers ground for home and holds our feet firm to walk in space open to infinite galaxies. Let us salute the silence and certainty of mountains, their sublime stillness, their dream-filled hearts. The wonder of a garden, trusting the first warmth of spring until its black infinity of cells become charged with dream. Then the silent, slow nurture of the seed's self, coaxing it to trust the act of death. The humility of the earth that transfigures all that has fallen of outlived growth. The kindness of the earth, opening to receive our worn forms into the final stillness. Let us ask forgiveness of the earth for all our sins against her, our violence and poisonings of her beauty. Let us remember within us the ancient clay, holding the memory of seasons, the passion of the wind, the fluency of water, the warmth of fire, the quiver touch of the sun, and the shadowed sureness of the moon, that we may awaken to live to the full the dream of the earth who chose us to emerge and incarnate its hidden night in mind, spirit, and light.
Gratitude to Great-ti-tude and back again. We all know an internet search can be almost always helpful for background on a topic. This time I was thinking about inspirational quotes on gratitude, hoping to turn inspiration into a few words for this Sunday. It wasn't long before I was overwhelmed by the actual number of quotes on gratitude, and I would hazard a guess that the quotes on gratitude is second in number only to love as a topic. I found websites with at least 50 or 60 quotes and even more. Now I had something to truly be grateful for. My second search is usually conducted on what I might sometimes refer to as my inter-soul net, a place where I go to find out how a topic relates in some way to my own life. All I really needed for this search was a visit from the ghost of Thanksgiving past, to see myself sitting at a dinner table at my grandparents' house where I may have learned one of the first and most valuable lessons on gratitude. You see, I've always been a fussy eater, especially as a child, and quite often I was not interested in food put before me. This scene was compounded by ways in which I expressed this reluctance. The result was me being reminded by my grandfather or grandmother in a not so subtle way that if I had grown up during the Great Depression, I would only be too grateful to have food to eat at all. At that time, this bit of conventional wisdom was lost on me, but as you can plainly see, it still resonates. Gratitude noted. I was also raised in a household where most things had to be shared, including bedrooms and bathrooms, and at some high risk, some of my childhood possessions, which I think had slightly skewed my ability to express much gratitude. I always felt that I had an early appreciation for most things in life, but did I learn anything about expressing gratitude? I mean, this ability does not just drop into your lap, or does it? I was raised Catholic, and I was taught to pray as a way of giving thanks. Prayers of thanks in our house were mostly recited at meal times, which is somewhat ironic considering my lack of appreciation for what was on the table most of the time. But prayers, I now know, is a common way of expressing thanks, and I have learned through stories about Native Americans or early hunter-gatherers, as they would say a prayer of thanks for the soul of the animal that gave its life so people may survive. A practice which seems quite natural to me if you live in a world that celebrates the circle of life. Words of gratitude before meals or bedtimes was probably more ritual than anything when I was young, but I believe the seeds of appreciation were planted, and they may have taken hold through the seasons of my life because I'm much better at this gratitude thing these days. I can look back and realize a life of abundance, no matter what the circumstances may be day to day. There's love of family and friends, church community, civic community, and all the necessary and unnecessary things I own. And I can only marvel at it all from time to time as to how it has somehow found its way into my life. Outside of that, there's my talent and career as an artist that has taught me with no uncertainty a visual appreciation of a world beautiful and how much I am surrounded by it, when and if I can only see it. Life is full of choices, and being grateful is a choice I choose. And yes, if I had known the Great Depression, I probably would have been only too grateful for that food on my plate that my grandparents served many years ago, even if I didn't like it. There are unlimited ways in which to practice gratitude.
When eating fruit, remember the one who planted the tree. Vietnamese proverb.
Even though there are days which I might wish for a better job, my coworkers are my friends and are kind and supportive.
Acknowledging the good that you already have in your life is the foundation for all abundance. Eckhart Tolle.
There are 52 weeks in a year, making it possible to have at least 52 Black Fridays.
Be thankful for what you have. You'll end up having more. If you concentrate on what you don't have, you will never, ever have enough. Oprah Winfrey.
If you dare to ask the question, do people really love me? Do I love myself?
Make it a habit to tell people thank you, to express your appreciation sincerely and without the expectation of anything in return. Truly appreciate those around you, and you'll soon find many others around you. Truly appreciate life, and you'll find that you have more of it. Ralph Marston.
It seems moments of my life become lost between all the things needing done and persons needing my attention.
I have a lot to be thankful for. I am healthy, happy, and I am loved. Reba McIntyre.
It is said you should become a more grateful person, but how and where do your thoughts begin?
If you truly want to make apple pie from scratch, you must first invent the universe. Carl Sagan.
Each ounce of gratitude is just a little part of the greater whole.
Gratitude helps you grow and expand. Gratitude brings joy and laughter into your life and the lives of those around you. Eileen Caddy.
Engage in a search for words or that perfect gift or card that expresses how you truly feel about someone and present it to them.
I awoke this morning with devout thanksgiving for my friends, the old and the new. Ralph Waldo Emerson.
I have witnessed great talent in this world, whether it was in the painter's brush, an actor's performance, a musician's song that has moved me, or inspiring words from the vast world of writers, or even a simple, unselfish act that has brought joy into another person's life.
Gratitude is a quality similar to electricity. It must be produced and discharged and used up in order to exist at all. William Faulkner.
Gratitude, like the universe, has no dimensions. It is neither large nor small.
Piglet noticed that even though he had a very small heart, it could hold a rather large amount of gratitude. A. Milne, Winnie the Pooh.
And if you would please take a moment, you may find the grocery store is but a short drive and more than meets your daily needs. Your home might be heated, cooled, and has running water, hot and cold. The roads you use to get to work or to friends or family are smooth and well maintained. Your cell phone can connect you with just about anyone or any place in the world.
Acknowledging the good that you already have in your life is the foundation of all abundance. Eckhart Tolle.
If you have known another person's heart, you've been alive.
At times, our own light goes out and is rekindled by a spark from another person. Each of us has cause to think with deep gratitude of those who have lighted the flame within us. Albert Schweitzer.
The path to greatness is through gratitude. If we want America to be great, we can start by being more grateful.
The world has enough beautiful mountains and meadows, spectacular skies and serene lakes. It has enough lush forests, flowered fields, and sandy beaches. It has plenty of stars and the promise of a new sunrise and sunset every day. What the world needs more of is people to appreciate it and enjoy it. Michael Josephson.
If you want to raise your arms or put your hand on your heart, you're welcome. Happy Thanks by Giving. Thanks by giving of the special gifts that you have been given. Thanks by giving to someone the sense that they are not alone. Thanks by giving something of yourself that you have held too long and so dearly. Thanks by giving smiles without the need for a permit. Thanks by giving touch without the need for rebound. Thanks by giving meaning to love and to human connection. Thanks by giving inspiration to those who fight for justice. Thanks by giving a vision of truth through knowledge and compassion. Thanks by giving peace a chance to grow. Thanks by giving quiet the chance to speak. Thanks by giving appreciation to ourselves and to others that is somehow overdue. Go in peace.